Well, as you know, as soon as the Olympics were over 2 weeks ago, Russia sent troops into Ukraine in a standoff over control of Crimea. This in spite of international condemnation that it's essentially a Russian military occupation. Crimea's regional government is now preparing for an upcoming referendum widely expected to pass to declare independence from Ukraine and join the Russian Federation. My next guest is familiar with political turmoil in that region. David Kalis spent almost 3 years in Russia during the chaotic fall of the Soviet Union. His forthcoming book about the experience is called Vodka Shot, Pickle Chaser, a true story of risk, corruption, and self-discovery amid the collapse of the Soviet Union. Welcome, David. Great title for the book. Love it. So explain to us Westerners, because we all think of Putin as somewhat of a thug, but he's very popular in Russia. He's popular in Crimea, which wants to join the Russian Federation. Why is that? So he does have a 70% approval rating in Russia, and it's partly because his constituency are those that are over 25 that grew up in the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union was powerful and was considered the other superpower. They want to return to that. They liked being respected in the world. So when you were there, 1991, it was really right at the beginning of the fall of communism. Yes. What was it like then? So I was actually there. I got there, and then 2 weeks later, the coup of 1991 happened when the communists tried to overthrow Gorbachev. So at the time, he was trying to implement perestroika, which is the restructuring, and then glasnost, which is trying to open up with free speech. Remember all those words? Yes. We have a couple pictures from your experience there. Just kind of take us through what we're looking at. That's terrific. So this is during the coup, and this is when I actually jumped in with some of the soldiers. They were very approachable at that time during the coup. This is the White House that people were trying to protect here. And at one point, I went right up to a tank and climbed atop it because I tried to take pictures to show the West what was going on. And a lot of the people there wanted me to do that. This is me standing, and that's the view that I had on top of one of those tanks. Wow, that was bold of you to do that. So take us through how that sort of set the scenario for what's happening today. So what I think happened is there are a lot of parallels that you can draw. The first parallel would be the will of the people, and you can see with what happened in Russia, Yeltsin was emerged as the victorious leader, leading the people to freedom. And here you have a similar thing where the people are trying to bring freedom to Ukraine. Now, what's interesting now is post that in Russia, in the early 90s, they didn't build those institutions, those economic institutions, legal institutions, right, to enforce the law. That's what we need to look out for in the Ukraine right now. Is it as bad as it was then? Because I was there only once in '93. It was utter lawlessness. I mean, the mafia ran the city of Moscow. Nobody had a license plate. It was just utter lawlessness. In Russia right now, the lawlessness has gone away to some extent because Putin rules with an iron fist. In Ukraine, that's what I'm afraid of. That's what could happen. So Ukraine is actually part of your story because you had connections there, family history, and you actually went there. Take me through that. Yes, I took an overnight train from Moscow to Shepetovka, which is where my roots were, just to search for my roots. My grandfather had told me that the village didn't exist. I, as you can see, did find the village. Wow. And this is actually the street we believe that he grew up on. And what I found there was a great village and a connection to my heritage and to my religion that I never had before. Is it a Jewish community? Was it? Now it isn't, but then, when he grew up, it was part of the Pale of Settlement, where the Jews were forced to live in Ukraine. What is it about Crimea? I mean, is it? I mean, it's been the subject of so many coups and takeovers. I mean, is it particularly beautiful? Is it economically viable? What is it about Crimea? It's the only warm water port. So that's it. It's beautiful. That's it. And with a significant Russian population, I believe Putin feels he has the legitimacy to go and do this. And I think the concern is that why did he do this militarily when the people of Crimea are ready to join the Federation on their own? Why is Putin moving troops in to make it happen? Part of it is he wanted to be absolutely certain. You know, once Ukraine started tilting towards the West, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for him. He had to go in and control. Now what he's doing is he's bringing legitimacy with the referendum. And don't be fooled, he is definitely working that referendum, and I believe it will certainly pass. Should the U.S. stay out of this? I believe the U.S. should be more involved with Putin. And the reset button that Obama claimed to
to initiate back in 2008, I believe has to be restarted again. It's conversation that's going to find some type of solution.
All right, David Kalis, thank you so much for that. Good insight.
Thank you.